Welcome back, you lovely people. This is my walk around for the sale at Manor Park Classics on October the 28th, 2023. Now you're clever, you've subscribed, you've liked, so you're getting this on Wednesday night, which means you've got 3 days to go through all of these videos. There's going to be 3 car videos and a bike video to squeeze all of this in. Let's start without further ado, starting with this in Millionaires Row here in the main room. This is beautiful. This is a 1958 Mercedes Ponton 220S convertible, and I'm in love. Just come and have a look. Elliot's going to walk you around this. I cannot tell you how much money, how much beautiful work has gone into this car. It was done by a really nice bunch of guys called Retro Marks. We've been chatting to them about the work they've done, and it's kind of one of those lovely, no expense spared restorations. They have spent an absolute fortune on this. So the car's got 3,000 miles on the odometer since it was done. The wood, I'm going to give a 10 to. The wood is exceptional. If you just look at the veneer that's on the dashboard here, the leather is incredible. The trim on these, which is the thing you have to watch, is the harder stuff to replicate and to repair. That's pretty much as new. And the paint, I'm going to give a solid 9 and a bit. There's a couple of tiny, tiny blebs. If you're sort of buying this at concours level, and this is going to be potentially a 6-figure car, there's maybe 1 or 2 minuscule fisheyes. This is me being super pedantic. I think, you know, 300 quid's worth of quality valeter on that, just to do a tiny bit of wet flatting in a couple of areas, you will have pretty much a concours car. It's lovely. It drives like new. It's exceptional. It's got mega history. We've got a huge amount of backstory with this car. So if you are interested, please speak to Jim and the guys. Have a look online or give us a bell. If you're spending this much money, you know you want to have a conversation, you want to dig into the history of the car, we have a lot of it with this. And what's even better is Retro Marks have been so forthcoming. They're the guys that have done all the work on it. They'll tell you everything you need to know. So there you go. It is gorgeous. It's going to be probably a huge amount of money, somewhere between 90 and 110,000 pounds to get into this. There aren't that many right-hand drive cars. This is an ex-South African car, which explains the body condition that's had a huge amount of love, a huge amount of work, and it is very well known within the Mercedes community. So if you fancy driving around like a classy dictator, that's one to do. One to do. I love that. This is back in again with a low reserve. So if you fancied this last time and couldn't quite make it, maybe this is the time. So it's a 1996 Bentley Continental R, but a Jack Barclay edition. You'll know if you want one of these, it's all about the flares. And this one has the flares. Again, beautiful colour. It's done 57,000 miles. It's been with one family since 2007, this car. And it's really nice. We've got this estimated at 40 to 45. Think what you can get for that kind of money. I've just bought a Dodge Viper for about that kind of money. And I'm kind of looking at this thinking, do you know what? I wish I'd bought this. Drives perfectly, the paint is absolutely lovely. As I say, 57,000 miles, which is nothing in one of these. I do believe this shape Continental is the best. I think it's the most aggressive looking. I think fast forward 10 or 20 years, these will be the ones that everybody wants, just because they look so good. They look so muscular, you've got that beautiful line. And just look at this. Look at what you've got going on here from a design point of view. Look at this C-pillar. Look at this really subtle box arch. You've actually got a flared arch there, like a Evo Integrale. And then look, as if that wasn't enough, you get a box arch and a flare. Ooh, the width, all the width. And it's a Jack Barclay as well. I'm absolutely in love with that. And at 40 to 45,000 pounds, you could buy that. Now the second Continental, this is the car that saved Bentley, isn't it, this one? 2005 Continental GT. These are just such a bargain, and they are supercar fast. You're over 500 horsepower with one of these. Superb engine. This one's got a fresh MOT, a great service history. It drives and presents beautifully. The paint is very nice on this, I think. Black, with little beige highlights, which I like, just to make it not too dark in there. Great colour combination, really practical, usable car, this. I say a fresh MOT till next year. Now these are 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. So you're driving around in the Bodleian Library, spanking all the supercars, and you think, well, what would I pay to get myself into something like that? The car that saved Bentley. Very nice wheels on this as well, which I think are Mulliner wheels. Yeah, they are, split rims as well. Very cool. We've estimated that at 16 to 18,000 pounds. Now, they might have a slight footballer reputation back in the day, but now, fast forward, very classic car, very elegant, and hasn't that aged well? If you don't know anything about Bentley styling, that could be of any era from the last 20 years, couldn't it? They have aged impeccably, and all of a sudden, they become very cool, very desirable, and almost quite classless in a way, and for the money that they are, worth getting on board with. And not a Mark II, but a 240, so the run-out Jaguar, which I think is a great spec. We did one of these on the show. I can tell you it wasn't as nice as this. This is really lovely, isn't it? So this is a 1968 240. And looking around, so the team have had a good go over on this, and they are saying, and I have to agree with them, probably the finest example available. And why are we saying that? Just purely on the condition. So a photographic record of a nut and bolt restoration, all the paperwork you could ever wish for, multiple show winner of this car, and the attention to detail, unbelievable. So just bring that in for a second, have a look. So the interior is gorgeous. Just even the door shuts, just look at the way the doors have been aligned, look at that. Perfection. Coombs arches on the back, which I love. So rather than the big, deeper arches, these are like the Coombs racing arches. That's a very nice, subtle modification, that one. Nothing to do, guys. Just literally jump in, drive, enjoy. It's done 80,000 miles on the odometer. The paint is perfect. The trim is perfect. What can I tell you? It's had everything. It's had new chrome on there as well. It's got its correct toolkit, 4 previous owners. If you are serious about one of these, come and have a look at this. There's a lot of dross in the Mark II, 240, 340 market. This is a really exceptional car. You are going to pay a reasonable amount of money for that. We've estimated that at 25 to 27 with good reason, but there's probably £50,000 worth of work there. If you want a Mark II, even though that's a 240, I know the difference, that's a very nice car. Now this one has sold already. Somebody came and bought this. This was in the last sale. The reserves were due for this sale, and someone liked it so much they came and bought it. And I can't fault them. Now moving on to this, you might recognise this from our last sale. It's back in again with a low reserve, which is always good news. This car, again, is exceptional. It's come from the John Lee collection. I never got to meet that gentleman, which is a shame because he had impeccable taste in cars. What he bought was always good. How he restored it and how he maintained it was just beyond, basically. If you want to buy a car that's had money, no objects, this is it. It was an older restoration, and you know how much I love those. You know how much I love a car that sat in it. I think it's somewhere in the mid-90s this car was restored. So it sat in that paintwork for 20 odd years, and the paintwork is exceptional. It's a manual, it's a right-hand drive, UK home market car, it's matching numbers. They only made 480 of these altogether. It's a desirable overdrive model as well. It's got disc brakes on the front. It had a nut and bolt restoration. And what I love about this, if you want some indication of how it's been maintained, the last overhaul service was done by DK Engineering. And if you know, they are not cheap. Those guys are really at the top of their game, and they charge accordingly. And therefore, any car that's been looked after to that level, to me, is a good car. Again, if you are seriously interested in this car, please, if you need a walk around, there's so much video on this car. If you want someone to go through it in forensic detail, we have so much detail on this car. They're not going to be cheap because the best never is. Somewhere between 70 and 80,000 would buy you this beautiful motor car. I was lucky enough to be at the Malta Classic a few weeks ago, where some of these were racing, and they are just magnificent. You forget what a brilliant sports car these are, how great they sound, and actually how capable they are at going quickly in straight lines and around corners. Again, we always say it's a cliche, if you want one, you want that one. It's just, it needs nothing. It's just ready to go. Polish, paint, insurance, tax, which is free, and away you go. Moving into the main room, Dolomite Sprint is suddenly good news. Dolomite Sprint has always been a brilliant car, but what's great is the world is waking up to the fact, funnily enough, BMW did it first, potentially, with the 2002 Tii, but then we hit back with this. This was our riposte to that, and it was about the same kind of speed. So you've got your Michelotti styling, you've got your 60-valve engine, you've got your alloy wheels, you've got a car that did very, very well in contemporary saloon car championships, and this is a lovely car. This is a 1973, which, as we all know, is the best year for everything. 46,000 miles from new, and can't you tell? Just look at the seats, look at the interior. Manual with overdrive, original spec. It's been with the current owner since 2009. It's got its original heritage certificate. And again, this was bare metal resprayed in the 1990s. And what we're learning today, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of good painters in the 1990s, because this looks really, really good. And nothing makes me more excited than the car that sat in paint for a quarter of a century and still looks amazing. Because what you can probably guarantee is if you maintain it and store it properly, probably not going to go anywhere, because if anything was going to come through, it would have done it in the last 25 years. MOT is going back to 1996, and it's got factory inertia reel and factory heater, which sounds bizarre, that would be an option, but back in the day, 50 years ago, those kind of things were, it's just lovely, guys. It's probably going to go for quite a lot of money, because they do now. Gone are the days when you could get a cheap Dolly Sprint. Everybody's realised that they are awesome, awesome cars that look good and go really well. And you've got that genuine competition heritage. 10 to 12 grand would buy that. And as I say, as fast as a contemporary BMW, which I love. Homologation cars, we know, are always good news. Fast Fords are always good news. Anything with an RS badge on is good news. So this is the Holy Trinity. This is the RS 1600i. If you don't know, I mean, all the Fast Forward guys and girls will be like, I know what this is. But it's the homologation car. It's not an XR3i with extra badges and wheels. It's a lot more sophisticated than that. This is the engine that they homologated with sodium-filled exhaust valves and all sorts of sexy things to get the car eligible for saloon racing. It's a quick old stick. It's in the best colour, this one. This is a 1983. It's got a great interior. That cannot be original. It's too nice. I would say, judging by the tautness of these bolsters, that's had a little refresh and love. It's 33,000 miles, finished in Caspian blue with the original grey cloth. It's had recent bodywork and it's been done very, very well. Still got the original floor pans and sills, remarkable condition. It's just a nice car. And like we always say, there are just constants in the classic car world. There are cars that you know you can buy that you'll never lose huge amounts of money on and possibly even make a few. You can't go wrong. RS 1600i, everybody wants them. This is a very, very unusual colour. A lot of them were white, black, grey or red. Caspian blue is an incredibly rare colour. And if you look at the subtle differences, the difference in the rear spoiler, again, it's all stuff they wanted to homologate for racing. It's got a little bit more aggression. Again, if you look at the front spoiler on the RS compared to the XR3i, it's got a bit more meat. Again, look at the front track, look at just how everything sits a little bit more squat. That's a special car. You're going to pay accordingly, of course. 25 to 27 will get you into that car. But there aren't many in nice condition in that colour. Talking of great colours, how about this? Another Dolomite Sprint. Now this isn't a factory colour, and that does tell the story behind this car. This is a 1975 Triumph Dolomite Sprint, showing a recorded and credible 28,000 miles, and we think that's true. So if you look around, look inside, there's a few things you'll notice aren't correct. Starting with these mirrors, starting with the colour, and that's because this used to be a race car, and we think, can't prove it, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence to suggest this has a Formula 3 Dolomite racing engine in it. It is quick, it makes a bit more noise, and this has some credible competition history with it. Do have a look on the website, go through the history, and if you'd like to know a little bit more, give us a bell on this, because I love cars with a backstory. To be honest, I'd buy this car purely for the colour. The colour is exceptional. It was the race team colour that the car ran underneath. It's not an original BL colour, but for me, it's all the better for it. And also the quality of the paintwork and the colour change is so good, you would never know. Vinyl roof's gorgeous, paint's in great condition. It runs and drives as well as you'd hope. Had a recommission in 2021 with new headlining carburettors and a sports exhaust. It's had some money spent recently. It's just ready to go. 12 to 14 grand would buy you that. The purist would buy the standard car. I think I'd buy that and try and provenance that engine, because if that is true, you've just got yourself a bit of a bargain there. It's even got an original dealer sticker on the back, which is immense. Why are these suddenly just so desirable? I don't know. They suddenly look really good, don't they? Do you remember, I always used to think the Dolomite used to look a tiny bit awkward, but all of a sudden I think they've just come into their own. That Michelotti styling with the cantail just looks fabulous. I would like to own that. Talking of cars that you can buy at a lot less than the owner has put into it, the Jensen Interceptor. Anyone who has watched our little show, thank you for that. You'll know that we caught a bit of a cold, I think it's fair to say, when we did a Jensen. It's very, very easy to catch a cold if you're restoring a Jensen, because they are so expensive to do properly. If you're going to use the correct panels from Martin Roby, if you're going to do all the jobs properly, lead load, do the engine, you're going to spend many tens of thousands, and then when you come to sell it, you rarely get that back. So the clever thing to do, and this is what you can do, is buy one where someone's done that for you. Another 1973 car, so it's 50 years old, it's MOT exempt, it's ULEZ exempt, you can drive it into London, which is hilarious because it's a 7.2. What else can I tell you? Recent bare metal respray. It's got the air conditioning that works, it's got low owners, it's had a refurbished gearbox, it's got a reconditioned power steering rack, and it's just a lovely standard car that's been wound back to day one. Let me get the door for Elliot so he can show you inside, because it's very lovely inside. Look at that. Bodywork is really nice, guys, actually, on this. And white with black is such a classic combination, it just never goes in or out of style. And why I say this is a good one to buy, not only has it had a huge amount of bills in total, it's had £14,000 spent in the last 5 years. You know what we always say, if they've done it, you don't have to. So a lot of headache jobs on this car have been done. So it's got a statement of origin from renowned Jensen experts Martin Roby. So there you go. I've worked with those guys, they're amazing. They've got all the original records from International Motors on the cars. So she's ready to go. What will that cost you? That will cost you £42,000 to £46,000 to own that motor car. to do it to that standard, I can tell you this because I've not long done it, it's about 80 grand to 100 grand. So probably half what it would cost you to do it to that standard. So if you want one and you don't want to go through the rigmarole, Martin Roby, very lovely people to deal with, do excellent panels. And if you do have a Rusty Jensen, they'll sell you all the bits you need and they're wonderful and they fit really well. So much easier to buy one that's already been done. Drive it tomorrow. This is a bit of fun. Everyone knows how much I love Beetles. And the great thing about the Beetles scene is you can do what you want. You can have a bit of fun with it. No two customised Beetles look the same. And it's a great way for people to put their indelible stamp upon them. And someone has done that. Rob, who owned this car, is a DJ, he's a great guy. He's definitely done that. And all of this stuff you see, this isn't set dressing. If you buy this car, you're buying this skateboard, this Coke cooler, which is worth quite a lot of money by itself. But underneath that is a 1973 car. Every car in this sale seems to be from 1973. Because I've just celebrated my 50th birthday. What can I tell you? Right-hand drive, home market car, 5 former keepers, been with the current owner, Rob, since 2017. Had a recon gearbox, a new petrol tank and lines. Was daily driven for 5 years and never broke down because it's a Volkswagen. Now, as you can see, the interior needs a bit of love. The nice thing is those seat covers for those seats are not a lot of money. Go to our friends at VW Heritage. They'll sell you an OE seat cover for that for not a lot. It's just had a cosmetic refresh, new rear wing and a rear bumper. And it's had a life. It's been a radio promotion car. Now you'll see all of this patina here. What looks like corrosion. This is actually rust paint because actually the car is very, very sound. So underneath all of this, which is actually sort of being fabricated rust and wear, is actually a very sound little car. So you could do one or two things, just enjoy it as it is with a patina look, or actually just paint it, and underneath there is very, very sound metal. So what's it going to cost you to have all of that ready-made? You could go to any Volkswagen show, any festival, everyone will love you. Very cool accessories, very nicely curated. Have a look, you've got a drum up there, you've got a guitar look, an old suitcase. All this stuff costs more than you think, actually, to put that there, and it's ready to go for you. There's even a set of head skis, carbon head skis. They're probably worth a few quid by themselves. 4 to 5 grand, including all of that stuff on the roof. It's a bit of fun, runs and drives really, really well, and a bit of fun. And that's the most important thing about a classic car, have fun with them. Traction Avant. Probably, if you're trying to define the classiest classic car that you can buy, a car that you could take to any event, and I mean up to the level of a Salon Privé or a Goodwood Revival, down to your local car show, and then drive to Tesco afterwards, what car does that better than any other for half sensible price? It's this, isn't it? 1948 Citroën Traction Avant. So as the name suggests, front wheel drive. I think timeless styling, incredibly far ahead of its time for a 1948 car. You get the lovely, cool suicide doors on these. Left-hand drive, of course. 30,000 miles showing on the kilometre speedometer, which I'd imagine is probably either reset or around the clock. Imported to the UK from France in 2016. Restored by the vendor in 2016. It didn't always look this pretty. It's got indicators fitted, which is really good. It's got the 1900 4-cylinder engine. A new set of Michelin's on, which is very, very nice. And it's great. It's that kind of condition that's really nice and presentable. It's not perfect by any means. Paint's good, but not immaculate. Interior condition's very nice and tidy. Just a really great car, really presentable. The kind of thing that you'd enjoy taking to your local car show, actually using. And that's the thing about these for a 1940s car. You can drive them. And again, these may not be original, but it does make the car much, much safer to use. And you can buy these. I mean, this is why these are so special, guys. You could buy this car for somewhere between 10 and 12 grand, and I defy you in this room of amazing cars to find me a car that works in more places than that does. Like I say, take it anywhere and get instant respect. There are not many 12 grand cars you could drive to Salon Privé, and you'll just get that little nod from people that say yes. So there you go. Have a little bit on that one if you fancy that. Now, these next 4 cars are very cute. Elliot's going to go back and give you this. These all came from a collection all together, and I'll go through them one by one. But they all have a common theme. They're all incredibly tidy and really, really great condition, but they will all need recommissioning. So whichever of these Austins you fancy, in terms of bodywork, in terms of paintwork, there is almost nothing to do. They're very, very tidy. But they will all need a gentle recommissioning because they've all been in storage for a long, long time. But bear in mind there's about 5 moving parts under that bonnet. It's not going to take you long. So do bear that in mind. So they're lovely, very presentable, a little bit of polish and wax on the body, but keep some budget back for just an engine overhaul or full service. Things will need freeing off. They all need recommissioning, but they're lovely little cars. Starting with this 32.7, wonderful colour combination, 8,000 miles showing, loads of receipts and invoices. They are small, but believe it or not, because my mum used to have a 37 Ruby, I can fit in this. I have to do yoga for the week before, but they're ace. Now, I wish Fuzz was here, because Fuzz is absolutely amazing on pre-war stuff. But the great thing about the Austins, there's a wonderful scene for these, loads of spare parts, and again, a bit like the Traction Avant, despite the fact it's a 30s car, they're really usable. You know, in the spring, summer and autumn, you could be tooling this around. If you're just popping to the paper shop or going to the pub for a light shandy, take your little Austin. They are a great car. They can't hack it on the motorway, you know, they do about 40, 50 mile an hour flat chat, but you'll have so much fun. And if you want to drive a car that gets let out at every junction and starts 20 conversations at the petrol station, Austin 7, everybody loves you. I guarantee you drive that car, everyone will be your best mate. 5 to 6 grand, these 30s cars are not expensive. They really aren't. Again, really beautiful car, 38. You can see the differences that a few years makes. 38 Austin 7 Saloon, a really nice example of this one. 14,000 on the Odo, which I guess is around, again. Loads of invoices and receipts. It's got a 4-speed gearbox, this one. You flash devils. So that'll actually be really nice to drive. I'm going to let Elliot come round so you can have a look inside. Beautiful patinated leather. It's got a sunroof and an opening windscreen, so this is effectively air conditioning for the time. And again, not an expensive car, 5 to 6 grand. But do you see what I mean about the fact you're not going to need to spend loads of money on bodywork and trim? It's all ready to go. And if you're looking for a car you can span yourself, there's something really satisfying about Sunday morning, out in the garage, radio's on, you've got a nice cup of tea, you've got your socket set there, make sure obviously it's an Imperial one. But you can fix these cars, that's the thing. Everything comes apart, everything's solvable as a mechanical problem. And there's a real satisfaction to owning this pre-war stuff because there aren't many things that go wrong that you can't personally put back together, even if it's bad to the side of the road. Another one, 1933 Austin 7 Saloon. This does need a bit of restoration, this one, and a recommission. So there's a little bit, the bodywork is just starting to blister and bubble through. But it's remarkably good, there's hardly any corrosion on it. I mean, if you look here, you can see little blebs on the paint. But there is no structural corrosion whatsoever. To be honest, without wanting to sound like Drew Pritchard, I'd live with the patina. I'd live with the patina and just enjoy it for what it is. You can see there, look, there's some examples of old bodywork on the side. But we think this is largely original, this car. It's got the 4-speed gearbox as well, loads of period features and bits and pieces. It's got a great registration number. Please don't buy it to take that off because I do believe old cars should stay with their numbers. And again, that's going to cost you 6 or 7 grand. It's got the most amazing smell. Imagine what a 1930s interior smells like. All that leather. It's been in storage for a bit. It's got that wonderful old car smell. If you come to the auction just to put your head in there, I'll completely understand. You're my people. This is great. Have a look at this as well. So this is an Austin 7 Nippy from the same private collection. These are super, super fun. I've never driven one of these, but I have been a passenger in one. They're really, really great fun. They're quite nippy, as the name suggests, and surprisingly good handling and very tail happy. You're on these little pram wheels. You can scoot these about, you can drift at 25 miles an hour. Original spec, recent new weather gear, great attention to detail. And look at this fabulous little story. All of that money been spent, all of that time, effort, care and love that's gone into this. Now these are a bit more because they are a very cool, legitimate early sports car. Also I think the styling on these is absolutely wonderful. Look at that at the back, look. Isn't it cool? So that's going to be 15 to 17,000, and you know they don't come on the market very often in that kind of condition. Again, we'll need a little gentle recommission, but as you can tell by the condition and how it looks on camera, it is as good as it is in real life. So she's not going to need a lot. I can't imagine that's going to be too much until we see you back on the road. And moving on, another one back in with a slightly lower reserve. And we'll always do that, guys. If you're the vendor, we'll always try in the first auction. Obviously, our job here is to get the most we can for all of our vendors. But if it doesn't make it, what we'll always do is talk to you and try and help you to come into the next sale with a perhaps more sensible reserve, because the market changes all the time. And we try to be realistic for both our buyers and our sellers and find them a home, because ultimately we're here to make sure cars find a new home. This car I adore just because of the look. Ford Model A Coupe, 1930, came into the UK in 2014. It's got a 3.3, so she shovels. It's got Firestones on, it's got the opening windscreen as well. It's got a rear blind, it's got dicky seats, which I love as well. It's got indicators, which makes the purist weep, but it means you don't get driven into by a truck, which is kind of helpful. And it's had a lot of restoration work, it's had a lot of money spent. I would imagine as well, if you own this car and register with a lot of the filming vehicle companies, you could probably get quite a lot of work out of this because it looks so period correct. And there were a lot of these cars over in the country at the time. You could get work doing American films and UK films with this car, I would imagine. And you could buy that for 10 to 12 grand. They're astonishingly cheap, these 30s cars. It's because the market's softening a little bit. I would be totally honest with you, they're probably not going to be the greatest investment. It's not like buying a 90s fast forward, for instance, which is probably going to go up. This stuff is probably going to plateau for the next few years, but buy it because you want one, because you want to enjoy it, because the prices have never been so good. And you can never get so much 30s car for your money. Because people always say to me, what's the car I should buy to invest in? What's going to make me loads of money? Never buy a car for that reason. Buy a car because you love it, you want to own it, and you're going to make memories in it. And then just imagine taking your family out for picnics and stuff in this. That would be indelible stuff that's worth thousands of pounds. When you look back at those memories in years to come, and you did it in that car, that's what classic cars are about. If you make money, that's great, but use that as the byproduct, not the reason. 1990 Ford Escort LX. You already know what I'm going to say, don't you? You already know what I'm going to say. Festival of the Unexceptional. This car, potentially, guys, you could be looking at next year's concours winner because this has done 18,000 miles. And it looks like it as well. So I'm going to take you back in a time warp to 1990. You and I have just got into a time machine. We've arrived at Sandycliff Ford in Nottingham. And there you go, look at that. That's what you'd see. You'd have walked into the showroom and seen this 1.4 LX. You can run faster than a 1.4 LX, but that is not the point, ladies and gentlemen. It's just immaculate. Been part of a private Ford collection, original dealer plates and stickers, totally original. And I'm looking around trying to find something to crib on. Let's have a look at those arches. What are the arches like? No, they're like new. Trims are perfect, bumpers perfect, paint's perfect, glass is perfect. Trim is insane, it's like new. So there you go, if you want to potentially clean up the Concours Awards at Festival of the Unexceptional, and actually have a very usable little daily driver in the summer Ford, dynamically these weren't considered to be the best cars, but I actually really like this styling. I prefer the Mark 4, Mark 4? Mark 5? Styling to the one that came after the facelift. I prefer this to the oval face because this is like poor man's Cosy, isn't it? I have a lot of love for that, Great colour, great condition, relatively attainable car, 45 grand. What's not to love, really? Moving on to this is actually our chairman's car. So if you want a car that's had no expense spared, Stephen does buy very nice cars and then spends a lot of money making them look really nice. 71 Triumph GT6. Smells lovely. Again, smells a little bit of petrol and leather in there. GT6 Mark III, full restoration, outstanding condition. It's done 71 miles since restoration. If you come here regularly, you might have been upstairs and seen this as a display vehicle. It's been in Stephen's private collection for a long, long time. It's been recommissioned, it's ready to go. It's been amazingly stored. It's been in our air-conditioned, dehumidified garage for the last 3 years. Started regularly, of course. It's just ready to go. It's a no questions car. Everything exempt, 20 to 22,000 pounds. And I think if you analyse what these are, 6-cylinder sports coupe with Michelotti styling, they are still a bit of a bargain, aren't they? You can't get many cars of this period that look this nice, that go reasonably quickly, and make a great noise for that kind of money. And anything you need to know, because we know this car exceptionally well, because she's literally part of the family, give us a bell, we'll talk you through that. As with all these cars, if you don't know, every car has a video, every car has a book pack video. We try to get underfloor pictures, that's why we have the ramp in the corner of every car that comes in. We give you exceptional levels of detail prior to the sale. So we try and give you as much information and ammunition before you bid to help you to make a decision, particularly if you're buying from another country, as so many do. But if there's anything that we haven't given you that you need to know, let us know. If you want specific pictures, I did a phone walk around this morning for a very lovely friend of mine who's interested in the car. We can do that. We can walk you around in person and show you whatever it is you need. If you've got a question, ask, we'll always answer. Now this car belongs to a very, very dear friend of mine, James. First of all, the colour, Bangkok yellow, got to be the best colour. It is adorable on this car. And James, as I say, very dear friend of mine, very well known in the Lancia and classic car scenes. He was actually one of the producers on our show. And why I mention that is because if we had a problem with the car, if we had a shopping list of bits to get for any of the restorations you saw on Salvage Hunters, James was the man that made it happen. So not just a very nice man and a very good chef, as it turns out, but the knowledge, the man that you want to go to with all your classic car problems. So imagine that. So the guy that's responsible for producing our show also worked on Wheeler Dealers. He's the industry's go-to guy for car production, currently working on another classic car show, He's the man, basically, and this is his personal car. So when you look at it, just bear that in mind, because you can see when you walk around it, this is the product of a man whose stock in trade and living is doing the best car restorations on television. Really shows 37,000 miles, right-hand drive, UK home market car. You never find them, and you never find them in this colour. Had a new cam out in September, had a full bodywork restoration in 2018 at the cost of 10 grand. 10 grand. He's just loved it. He's a great man. I'm sure he would tell you anything you need to know. If you're in the Lancia Club or anything to do with the Lancia scene, you'll know James, you'll know this car. It's been at the NEC a few times. But just everything about it, the way the door's shut, the quality of the paint, just little details, like even how well the wheels have been painted. A lot of money was spent on this. Let me talk you through it. Remarkable condition, 10 grand as you know, unmarked original interior. It's got all the original books. It was at the Haggerty 2017 Festival of the Exceptional, 4 times at the NEC, new Michelin's, just lush, absolutely lush that car. 13 to 15 grand to buy a car that no one else will have, and particularly in that colour. Again, unspeakably, immeasurably cool, just cool. Moving on to this, right, the flagship, love this. 2004 Mercedes CL600. We have had this car in before, it's back again, and it is no less impressive. This car, it's won trophies, it's been in magazines, and of course it is a CL600. At the time, one of the most expensive Mercedes money could buy. And all the things that became standard on later Mercedes were on this car before anybody else had them. It's had show car stands, it's been at the NEC, it's had 2 magazine articles, all factory spec, amazing rare colour combination, I think probably one of the best colours of 2004, and just mega, mega bills. These are criminally cheap. When you think you're buying a V12, that drivetrain, that level of comfort and decadence, you buy this car for between 10 and 12 grand. It's in really lovely condition. There are a couple of very, very small blebs just around the sunroof. If this was my purchase, I would just get those done while they're very small and very cheap to fix. But isn't it great? Your friends will think you've won the lottery. You will drive along thinking you are Lord or Lady of the Manor. Nothing quite drives like these, and it's amazing to think that Mercedes made a car this big and this luxurious, and they made it a coupe. I adore the styling. I think they're absolutely fabulous, and they've aged so well. Really usable. Find yourself a good specialist. That needn't be a headache or massively expensive to maintain. Just keep on it, look after it, and that's a wonderful way to travel for 10 to 12 grand. Now, very much in my wheelhouse is this. This is silly, really, really silly, and if you like silly cars that make wonderful noises and go very, very fast, this is probably for you. 2012 Ford Mustang GT 5 litre. I love all of this. I love this kind of period stripes and period stickers as well. It's done 121,000 miles. Had an engine replacement in 2021 and was imported from Dubai in 2020. It's also got some crazy upgrades. It's got sexy cam in this, sexy intake. It's a little bit louder and a little bit faster than the standard car, this one. We've all enjoyed just tootling this around making the videos because it just makes the very best noise. Some really nice upgrades. Come and have a look inside, Elliot. The nice thing about Mustangs are you can get all the service bits for them, because ultimately, although it's very, very fast and very, very noisy and lots of fun and goes sideways if you look at it funny, I'd say it's a Ford. So actually all the service parts are incredibly cheap to get and loads of people can look after them. Good set of Toyos on there. And what would you pay for this great looking car? You can take the stickers off if you don't like them. They kind of work for me. But you could buy that car for somewhere between £12,000 and £14,000, and you could be the hero of every Cars and Coffee exit video. But just don't go sideways into the crowd, because they do go sideways very easily. This one with the engine upgrades that make a bit more noise and a bit more power, more sideways than most, that one. And I love this bonnet. This is an additional bonnet scoop. The Viper stripes I think really work, or Shelby stripes they should be really, shouldn't they? Seeing as it's a Mustang. That's great and great value. Kind of the opposite end of the tasteful scale, but no less impressive dynamically, 2006 SMG M5 V10. So you've got a V10 engine, M5, probably the best colour, utterly fabulous interior colour. Have a look at this. This is just pure class, isn't it? Factory sunroof. Now this was originally a BMW director's car, and you can kind of see that when you start to go through it. Most of the option boxes were ticked on this car. It's a huge spec, 18 stamps in the service book, including the 1200 mile service. And these will be one of the classic cars in the BMW canon. These will always have a market, these will always find a home because they're so incredibly usable. Not a cheap car to service. all the time, but this car's got an impeccable service history. A bit like the Merc, find yourself a really good specialist, and that needn't break the bank, but you will drive every mile with a smile on your face, and some of them sideways as well. What else can I tell you about that car? As I say, do check the service history. We've put it online. It's impeccable, but if you look at who had it first, BMW GB, that's why. 17 to 18 grand, that one. What a way to travel for, well, the price of a new Clio, basically. This is also a lot of fun, isn't it? If you haven't ever looked at the C63 AMG, I did a video on this on YouTube somewhere, you should be able to find it, of what a ridiculous car these are. Just stupid. Noise, power, quality, appearance, aesthetic, width, just everything for me on a C63 AMG is just about perfect. To me, one of the best cars Merc ever made. Proper hooligan wagon. I mean, when you think this is kind of lairier than the Mustang in so many ways, but so classy, you could park this anywhere, and if you don't know cars, it just looks, let Elliot come around there and show you inside. Really nice colour combination this as well. Dark blue with beige leather, 84,000 miles, great history, correct factory specification. Something you have to watch on these, oil coolers have just been done, new set of Continentals, and you know my pet love is people that put expensive tyres on cars before they sell them. Tells you everything you need to know about people. When people put really good tyres on a car prior to sale, it's because they care. Continentals all around, there you go. Tells you everything you need to know. What else can I tell you about it? It's been one owner then transferred into his business name, tons of options on this as well. And it's just had, those oil coolers are nearly 3 grand and it's just had those done. Just mega, isn't it? And what would you pay for that? What would you pay for that kind of style, that kind of speed? 14 to 16,000 pounds. Ridiculous, ridiculous. Another one back with a slightly lower reserve, so maybe this is the time that you can buy it. We all know my love for a C3. To me, it is the best of all the Corvettes because it's in that sweet spot. It's got that lovely early look because obviously it's a 60s car basically. Got the classic Corvette proportions. This one is a multiple trophy winner, so do have a look at this. If you come and look through inside Elliot, you can actually see some of the trophies that it's won. Tens of thousands spent on this car. You've got the billet wheels, you've got a huge collection of trophies. It's had a ridiculous amount of money spent on the engine, a ridiculous amount of money spent on the bodywork. It's the L82 code as well, which is very desirable anyway. It is a no questions car. Ready to go. Mildly customised, and I think very tastefully. Wheels you either love or you hate. I think they work on this particular car, but very easy to swap back to the original slots and they'd look very, very cool. Leather's gorgeous. You can actually smell the polish and the wax on this car. It has so much polish and wax on it. You can actually smell it. You know that wax smell you get on a car that's had so much detailing and valeting on it? That's this car. Don't forget that is a brand new engine in that car as well, which is not a cheap item on a car like this, particularly to the spec it's been built to. And you could buy that car for between 22 and 24. Another example, like the Jensen of a car you couldn't build for twice that. That's probably a 40 grand build that you could buy for 22 to 24 grand. Wonderful car. If you want one, have a look at that one. Moving on, Jaguars. Right. This one, again, is back in. We've got some really, really good evidence on this car, that this car, this very car, this Jaguar XJSC was the car that Jaguar themselves took to the New York Motor Show. And the people that are telling us that are Jaguars, so I'm inclined to believe them. It was then a left-hand drive car. It came back to the factory and was factory reconverted back to right-hand drive car. Great spec, great history. It is the 99th XJSC built, so it's a very early car. It was used by Jaguar as a company demonstrator and then owned by Tom Walkinshaw. So if you're looking for a Jag in a very rare build spec, in a very early chassis number, with a pretty incredible history. So Jag was the first owner, it then went to the Walkinshaw family. I think you'll struggle to get one that's any better than that. Just tons of backstory, tons of history. This is Cirrus Grey with Mulberry Red. Matching set of Pirelli P600. It's got the TWR window sticker as you'd hope and expect. The Jaguar Heritage Trust Certificate and a hood cover and spare wheel and 2 sets of keys. Kind of ready to go. The XJSC isn't everyone's cup of tea. I think it's very cool. And also you get a little bit more rigidity with these cars as well because you've got that hoop that goes over. Tiny bit safer than a standard cab, a little bit less scuttle shake than a standard cab. And you could buy that, despite all of that amazing history, for 13 to 15,000 pounds. Moving on to classic MGs. Now we can spark a debate in a minute. Here are a little trio of MGs, one from every period. I'm going to set the cat amongst the pigeons and say For me, the TF is the prettiest of all of them. The TF for me, I think the proportions of this, because they're a little bit lower, a little bit wider, and bizarrely the TF has more room than the TD, which we'll come to in a minute. This is a great car, 1953 UK home market car, sadly a reluctant sale due to ill health, perfectly recommissioned for over £3 with a new service, gearbox, diff service, carburettor overhaul and health checks. In other words, she's ready to go. Tuck her away for the winter, start her every couple of weeks, and just enjoy her in spring, I would. What a lovely thing, aren't they pretty, these? They really are. So this has been restored to a very nice standard a little while ago. So again, another car that's sitting in an older restoration, which you know what I think about that. Come into the back, Elliot. So the interior is mint, mint, mint. You've got all these beautiful side screens, and these have been done to an incredible standard. Look at the work there, look, with the proper embellishers on. Someone has spent a lot of money, look. That has been done really nicely. Kudos to whoever's done those. So lovely hood, hood frame, side windows and trims. A car that needs nothing. These aren't hugely expensive. If you think if this had any other badge on as a 50 sports car in that condition with that level of restoration, and again, that's probably a 30-odd grand restoration, it would probably be 30 or 50 grand if it was Italian of that kind of period. 17 to 18,000. Can't stress enough with an MG, so easy to live with, so easy to get bits for, such a wonderful owners club, so many places to use it. A very easy classic to live with, even in this period. So much stuff you can get for them, so easy to upgrade, restore, maintain. Just a lovely thing. And isn't that a pretty car? Just have a little walk around that. Particularly, I think the rear three quarters on this car is really nice. For me, the TF was the absolute sweet spot. The wing shape, the flow, the proportion, that's the one. And on wires, looks so nice as well. Now, no less impressive, probably even easier to live with, and if you're of a certain age, perhaps even more impressive for you. How about this? A super, super low mileage 1996 MG TF. Now, I remember I used to sell Psalms in the 1990s. I took a few of these in part exchange, so I drove quite a few on weekends to see what they were all about. They're just ridiculous amounts of fun. They really are. And surprisingly capable. This is a VVC engine, which is really good, but what makes this one so exciting is it has done 11,500 miles, so it's not been anywhere. Now, the bodywork, if you look closely, is in remarkable condition, as you'd expect for an 11,500 mile car, but it's not perfect. I would say give this a good paint correction, give this a really good mop. There's a few swirl marks in it. It's all there, and obviously being a red car, tiny bits of fade, but I reckon if you spent, I don't know, 300-400 quid with a professional valet to paint correcting that and just going through it, you would have a pretty immaculate car that drives as new. Another great thing about this car, comes with a factory hardtop, which is a really desirable option to have, and obviously extends the period you can use it in. It's got everything, VVC, hood and hood cover, a little bit of history, supplied new in Nottingham in 1996. These are 21 grand when they were new. Mud flats and carpet mats added, and it's just had a very low owner count and a very, very easy life. And again, look at the interior, if you look at the seats, this is how you know it's had no use. Just look at those seats, look, they're like new. And it was a brave concept, wasn't it, really? This was MG doing a Porsche Boxer, so mid-engined. It's a bit of a tight bit of packaging. They're not the easiest car to do a service on, but they're great fun to drive. And I do think these will have their time, you know, because they're such a usable, desirable car. If you ever go up the A1 and see the guys at Trophy Cars there, they sell an awful lot of these, and they do a very good job with them as well. There's a huge market for these. Good ones with good histories, with low mileages, will always find a home. 5 to 6 grand would get you into that. When you think it's done that small mileage, that's a bit of a bargain. And don't forget, it does have the hard top too. Now the TD, another car I adore. We did one of these on the show. I think this is better than the one we did on the show, to be honest. This has done 33,000 miles, right-hand drive home market car. The one we did was a left-hand drive. Been with the current owner for 10 years, and the previous owner to that for 51 years, which I imagine is the thick end of the car's life. It's got the original buff logbook, loads of MOTs, going back to 1971. When do you buy a car with MOTs that goes back to 1971? It's got new mohair roof on it as well. Just cracking thing, isn't it? So it's got new side screens, new mohair roof, interior refresh in 2013. That was 1,800 quid for all this kind of stuff. New brake haul, brake overhaul. It's got powered by the proven 1250 engine. It's not fast, but they do make a nice noise and they are a lot of fun. And really pretty. I say the reason that we did one of these on the show, the reason we did a TD rather than a TF, is they just are a little bit more usable. They are a modern car. This is a car that really took MG into America, and they sold a lot of these in America. You've got that kind of semi-bench arrangement in the middle, really nice dashboard. And it's got a car cover as well. So that is not going to be an expensive car. What will you pay for that? 15 to 17 for a really usable, pretty little sports car. Great proportions, aren't they? A lot of fun. Awful lot of fun, those cars. And again, a bit like the Austins, when you're driving this sort of stuff, although this is post-war, it's got that pre-war vibe to it. Everybody's your best mate. Everybody lets you out at a junction. Everybody wants to talk to you. Don't forget with this, you can fold the screen down and have these cool little aero screens as well, which are an awful lot of fun. And if you really want to feel like you're doing 100 mile an hour when you're doing 30, this is the car to do it in. Moving on, still British, still wonderful, just as rare, just as desirable, and a little bit faster. 1993 Jaguar XJS. Now you're talking about a very desirable spec because this is a 6-litre V12. These are literally silky smooth, very powerful, ultimate waftmobile. If you want to waft along the seafront in the summer, looking like you're on your way to your yacht, this is the car to do it in. 32,000 miles, very rare pre-celebration 6-litre, one of 99 cars, very low mileages, so I want to say 32,000. Been in the same family for 30 years, and my word, what a colour combination. What a colour combination. And these are actually, again, good specialists will make this car an absolute delight. I'm very lucky, I've got a great Jaguar specialist in Nottingham that I take my cars to. It just completely demystifies the whole thing. Don't be scared by these V12s. A good specialist will just make mincemeat of them, make them, and there's people like Just XJS as well in Leicester. They're very good. We've used them on the show. Great car, not expensive, wonderful history with this one as well. This is going to be between 19 and 21, which is towards the top end of the XJS market, but look at what you're getting. The bodywork is perfect, the interior is immaculate. The car needs nothing. And I really like with these later lights as well, these later wraparound lights. Very, very pretty. It's got the original dealer badge on as well. It's just an old money car, isn't it? Again, a little bit like the Traction Avant. It's one of those cars you could take to a lot of places. When you think that car you could buy potentially for 20, 21 grand. It just works, doesn't it? It works in a lot of places. It's an old money vehicle, and I like that. Moving on, another car that will appeal to a lot of people and will be very sensibly priced for what it is. How about this 1998 Porsche 996 Carrera 4S? The best colour combination. You've got silver with the oxblood leather. Got the auto box as well. Just a lovely thing. Tiptronic, factory hardtop as well, which is a very nice thing to have. Loads of paperwork. He's had a great independent service history. With all these things, guys, it's all about finding good specialists because a lot of these cars don't need to be hideously expensive. There's all sorts of tricks and tips you can get if you start taking them to the right people. But you can run these cars, not on a shoestring. You'll never run a sports car or a Jaguar for the same money as you will a Ford Escort, but they don't need to be horrendous. Again, specialists know all the shortcuts, all the clever things, all of the crossover parts that will save you money. So something like this, particularly a normally aspirated car, can be a really nice thing to own. What else can I tell you? It's got heated electric mirrors, it's got 8-inch turbo look alloys, which is really nice. It's got Tiptronics on the wheel, of course, hard top, wind deflector, dark band tint tops, got aircon, aluminium look instruments, some really nice options ticked on this. We do get a lot of 996s, but this one is really nice. Someone has not only spec'd this well in the first instance, but as a used car, continued to look after it. That's pretty. Do you want to know the best bit? The best bit? 996 convertible. Everything I've said, really sensible mileage, 73,000, mega history, 12 to 14 grand. So a lot of people, me included, dreamed of owning a Porsche convertible as a youth. 12 to 14 grand, there's your entry point. It needn't be preclusive, and if you want to, our friends at Fast and Funded can put a credit line in place for you. If you give them a call today, they can even set up some financing on that for you. So there you go. 1990 Lotus Esprit, a white Esprit, another car that a lot of people will have aspired to own as a young man or young lady. I certainly did. This is the Peter Stevens design. I was lucky enough to have lunch with Peter Stevens last week, actually. And we were talking about this car and what a genius he is for making Giugiaro's car look even better. And didn't he do a good job? All Esprits are gorgeous. I happen to think the Peter Stevens one is the most gorgeous because I think particularly details around the rear window, I think he resolved even better than the original design. I also think around the back, his design is even prettier than the original. I happen to think they look really, really nice, much more resolved around the back end. That's a 1990, it's in 71,000, loads of paperwork, loads of money spent on it. Really pretty car with all of its handbooks. 5-speed gearbox, 2.2 engine. It's just nice. As you can see by the interior quality, it's not had a half-life. Lotuses, unfortunately, of this age do not take abuse very, very well. You can really see it. You'll see it particularly in the interior if they've been kicked about. This one I think has been treasured and cherished, and it presents beautifully. And you could buy that car, my friends, for £19,000 to £21,000. I think, again, what a lovely way to travel. But isn't it interesting? You've got 3 cars there, which I'd imagine are on a lot of people's shopping lists. So you've got 19 to 21, 12 to 14, 19 to 21. You get a lot of great cars for under 20 grand, can't you? It's a really nice sweet spot. And again, not ridiculous to look after a Lotus, very simple engine, comparatively speaking. A good specialist will make that a joy to live with. But can we all hail this? We've already had so much interest in this car, and you can see why, can't you? You know what this is. Baby M3, 318IS, just the best spec. Manual. If you can't afford an E30 M3, and let's be honest, which of us can anymore? They're just telephone numbers now. This is a great alternative, no less drivable, no less desirable. Exceptionally nice spec and colour, this one. 135,000 miles, but please do check on that because it has had a speedo change on there. Great spec, very rare, standard interior in lovely condition. Now I would say this has been painted at some point because the paintwork is so good. And just a ton of history and paperwork on this. So the speedo change was done at 28,000 miles, so that we think that's actually 163,000 miles. But if you look at the money it's had spent on it, so we've got 17 stamps in the original book, E30 number plate, just a very, very nice thing. 2-door, boot spoiler, 318IS with Alpina wheels on. The reps, but you know, we'll let that slide. I think that is still very, very nice. Sits really well, doesn't it? I would like to own that. And if you have between £9,000 and £11,000, you could own that. It's going to go for something like that. I'm finding this very hard to fault, guys, I have to say. I say just do bear in mind when you're bidding, it had a speedo change. There's about another 28,000 miles on top of the shown mileage. We have shown all of that in the description and in the service pack. Paint is so good on this car. One to cherish but enjoy, I think. You can go quite sideways in one of those without trying too hard. Another car to enjoy whilst appreciating is this one. 1997 Lotus Elise, great colour. Just had a service and cam out. Decat exhaust, which is naughty. So obviously just be careful when you're driving that around. To own a car, drives and presents very, very well. This isn't the original colour, but this is a Lotus colour from a later model. I happen to think it's one of the best colours they've ever done. Just enormous amounts of fun. Because these cars, if you take them on a track day, I mean, they're almost becoming collectible now. People are starting to not drive them as hard as they did. And I think that's a shame because there aren't many vehicles you can take on a track day that can do laps as fast as this one can. Mega, mega paperwork with the car. Not fast in a straight line in an Elise, but because the cornering speed is just so prodigious, you can go so quickly in an Elise, it will spank almost anything on a track. It really will. 15 to 17 grand buys you that. I think you'll have 15 to 17 grand in it forever at the very least. I think these are about to start their ascent, I really do. It's such a usable little sports car and it's so much fun. And there are cars that cost 4, 5, 6 times as much that cannot touch it dynamically. So have fun today, maybe make some money tomorrow. And either way, every time you open the garage, you'll have that to look at. Cars that are also fun, 944 Turbo. We, of course, hold the auction record in the UK for the 944 Turbo. We sold the most expensive car to our good friend Kurt at Fast and Funded. He bought the Porsche restored car for £50,000. That's the top of this market. You could buy this one for a lot less than that, but it is no less desirable. This is an 86,000 mile car, exceptionally well maintained with a huge history file. It's had a top-end engine rebuild at Unit 11, good guys. Recent respray, water pump and cam belt change in 2020. Really nice colour combination. I had a black one with this same burgundy interior and I really like it. In fact, it's taking me back. Really nice colour. It's got the cup alloys as well, which is super cool. They go white with burgundy, look at that. Really, really nice condition this. Loads of bills. The guys have driven it. Turbo spools up well. There you go. It's got a K&N air filter. It's got really nice books, lots of MOTs. These are too cheap, guys. I'm going to say that. I don't often say that. These are not the money that they should be, and that cannot last. 12 to 14 grand, this car. And when you think the top of this market, we've proven it, the best of these cars is 50 now, 50 grand for an exceptional one. That seems like the bargain of the year. And it's had paint, and the paint is good, the interior is good, it's had loads of money spent on the engine, it's got the cup alloys, all the stuff you want, this car has, and it is a third of the top of the market. Seriously consider that one. And that is it for the first video. Make sure you've liked, subscribed, hit that bell. There are more videos to come. Most importantly, register to bid. Even better than that, come and join me on the day. Fun starts from 9.